let me stay here for tonight. I know who you are. You're Jean Valjean.
How's Houston?
Houston's great. We love you.
I love Houston.
If you ever come through, I have a very comfortable fold-out couch.
Really?
Yes.
Well, my daughter was adopted from that area, so I've been to Texas a lot.
So
love it.
you know we have good
Hi,
people
this is
there.
Jake Hamilton
Great
from
people.
Fox Houston. We have speed.
So I love you, my friend.
I love you, Jake. Love you too, man.
I gotta ask though.
That's the end.
Yeah, that's it. That's actually we're gonna
What
go.
else
That's,
we need?
that's what we need. But you know, the choice for you guys to sing live is obviously nothing short of brilliant. But if you had to pinpoint a moment or a song that most benefited from that gave you the most options, what is the moment in your performance that made you most grateful to be singing live?
The very first song, full song that I sang was the Soliloquy. It's a moment at the very beginning, a very big...
Sweet Jesus?
It was, yes. It's called the Soliloquy, and it's the big turning point for the character that propels him through the entire thing. And Tom just shot it on a Steadicam, and following wherever I went, and I had freedom of movement. And just to be clear, we had little earpieces where we were hearing the accompaniment, but that was live as well.
Right.
So it wasn't a pre-recorded track even. Everything was under the impulse. So I've never been more grateful because it's an emotional song and I could just go with whatever emotion was there.
Right, and so obviously, I don't want to say, okay, dance monkey, but can I, essentially, for my audience, could I get like 2 different examples of like, it could have been this way or it could have been that way?
The song, say that first song, is literally written with, what have I done, sweet Jesus, what have I done? Become a thief in the night, become a dog on the run. Have I fallen so far and is the hour so late? That's how it's written musically. But obviously with the freedom I could, and the camera here, I could just, what have I done, sweet Jesus, what have I done? Become a thief in the night. Become a dog on the run, so I could mix it up and speak it more or whatever I wanted to do.
I've never felt less talented in my entire life than when I sit across from you, my friend. Now, if I did my research right, and I'm a nerd, I like to do my research.
Yes.
When you auditioned for your first stage part, Gaston in Beauty and the Beast,
Yes.
you auditioned with a song from Les Mis.
Good. Jake,
So I was
good.
curious, what is the song you auditioned with? And if you could go back and tell that Hugh Jackman how all of this would turn out.
I can be very clear about that. It was Stars. It was the Javert song,
Wow.
Stars. And they said to me at the time, they said, this is Beauty and the Beast. Why are you singing Javert from Stars? And I just got out of drama school. We had one singing lesson every month at drama school, right, for half an hour. I had one piece of music. It was that song. And I told them that. And they said, well, you can throw that away because you'll never be in that musical. So to all
Yeah, so if
those
you could say
people-
something to those people,
Yeah.
now look at them. Now, I think it's amazing to me that that Victor Hugo's novel 1862 is still as relevant today as it was then. And you have been in some of my favorite films, The Fountain. This one, The Prestige, is one of my favorite films.
thank you.
Which film do you think in 150 years has the best chance of still being relevant?
Of mine?
Yes, sir.
Probably this one.
And why is that?
I think the music is timeless. I mean, the music was written almost 30 years ago. Makes it the 80s. Most 80s music sounds like 80s music, right? Trust me. And I like 80s music. That's my era. But this is timeless, and it will be timeless forever. The themes of the story are timeless. I'm sure this one, and it's shot in a beautiful, epic way. I don't know. I do think The Prestige was also a little under-recognized. The Chris Nolan film, and I'd like to think that will still hold up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, give me a wrap. I wanted to ask really quick.
Shoot.
Before you shot the first scene, for that 36 hours before, you drank no water.
Yeah.
Do you do that for...
But I drank a lot of alcohol. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's the way there. Welcome to Texas. But do you do that for the physical aspect,
Yes.
or do you do that for the mental?
Physical and mental. But mainly for the physical, because it was important for him to change. And don't try this at home, by the way, but it's important to change him to be unrecognizable, right? If you don't drink for 36 hours, you can lose up to 10 pounds of water weight. Everything on the surface here, which is why bodybuilders do it before competition, is water. Right. So when you don't have it, you go down, right? Please do not try this at home. But I had a massive headache. It made me really grumpy. And so mentally it helped as well.
Well, that's why I'm voting for you for Best Actor, my friend.
Just for that?
Bring it in, my friend.
Come here, Joe.
You know I love you.
Texans doing well this year.
Yes, sir.
Right, my girl. On your way.
And a dream my life would be.
Help me, please, I have a child.
So different from this hell I'm living. So different, no,
Where is your child?
No life has killed the dream.
You look so grown up.
I know. I mean, just you've known me since I was there. You know, I interviewed you when I was like 4. So my first question was going to be, how's our wedding coming along? But I'll scratch that one off the list.
Sorry, I should have let you know. He gave me a metal ring. Yours was, I mean, it was very nice. It was, but it wasn't metal.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Diamonds help too, I've been told. But I was going to ask, one of the things I love about Fantine is that she is so willing to sacrifice everything for her child, whether it be her looks and her, obviously her life, her sense of right and wrong. What was the hardest part you had to feel that you had to sacrifice to get this part right?
I don't think of what I do as sacrifice.
Really?
Yeah, it's I'm completely in control of the choices that I make. I made a decision that I wanted to be an actress. I made a decision about the type of actress that I wanted to be, about what I consider to be an appropriate commitment level to a performance. And I mean, when I think about the performances that I admire, cutting off your hair, losing weight, I mean, that's just kind of part of being an actor. So I didn't think about it in terms of that. So I'm sorry I can't answer.
Oh, no, it's perfect. That's interesting, though. That's very interesting. But I was wondering if, and I'm sure you've been talking about this all day, but I was wondering if you could take me back to that moment when you're 7 years old and you're watching Les Mis and your mom comes out as the understudy for Fantine.
Yes.
What, you know, all these years later, what stands out about that moment? What do you remember most about that moment?
I remember being really upset when she died. You know, as I'm sure you can.
Right, understandably so.
Yeah. I remember crying really hard and having never cried before, because I was tracking the story, and so I was sad that Fantine had died, but also I remember, and I'm articulating this now, but I couldn't have at the time. I remember being surprised and realizing that I'd never felt emotion that deeply before. And I think it was the combination of the music and the story and seeing my mom, and it just all fused inside of my soul. And suddenly the story wasn't about performing, it wasn't about acting. All of these people became real to me. All of their emotions became real emotions. And I think that it definitely had an influence on how I approached the film when it came my time to do it.
Has she seen this?
She has.
What was her? Can I ask what her reaction was?
She absolutely loved it. She says she says she thinks it's the most magnificent musical film that's ever been made.
And I do not disagree, I'm going to be honest. You know me, I like to be nerdy and do my research, and I was kind of researching all the different actresses who've played this part, and I came across a really interesting quote from Patti LuPone.
Yes.
And I wrote it down so I wouldn't get it wrong. But she said that every line, while singing the song, is a different mountain that needed to be climbed. Some of those mountains were higher than others, and while I enjoyed climbing some, I hated others. But if you're not exhausted when you're done singing this song, you're not climbing high enough. Yeah. Which I thought was a really interesting quote. So if that's true.
It's a beautiful quote.
I thought that was great.
Oh my God. I wish Patti could do my press.
No, you're great. But like, if that's true, if every line is a mountain that needs to be climbed, metaphorically, what was the hardest mountain to climb? What was the hardest line to get through?
Now life has killed the dream I dreamed.
And any particular reason why that one over the rest?
I always thought, and I do think of Fantine in terms of fire, and she's a dreamer. I mean, that's part of the reason why the song is called I Dreamed a Dream. And she's someone that so lived in her dreams, which allowed her to make it through some very tough times in her life. But when she is culled into the world of prostitution, she has to extinguish her own divine light in order to survive, because as much as she would love to leave this world, she must stay in it because of her daughter, because of the need, because she has that love for her daughter. When she says, now life has killed the dream I dreamed, there's no turning back. Once something's dead, it's dead. And that is the moment for her when she gives up everything she knows about herself, that she holds dear and that she loves. And the only thing that she keeps alive inside of her is her love for her daughter, which is the only thing that gets her through each breath. It was so hard I love Fantine, and to be so in love with the character and want so much for them, and to know that even though what I'm doing is a performance, that there are women and men out there in Fantine's situation feeling that exact thing. It was a hard thing to let someone I love go through. Of
course, absolutely. Well, give me the rap. You've always been so kind to me my entire career. You're, from the very beginning, so with all my heart, I really do love you, and I wish you all the best.
You're adorable.
I'm going to be cheering for you on Oscar night.
I'm so sorry that I married someone else.
One day more.
Is that? Another day, another destiny. Hamza. It's never-ending road to Calvary.
Where's the child, Cosette?
You and I have talked a lot of different times for a lot of different movies, but the very first time we ever talked was right down the street at the Ritz-Carlton for a movie for Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I was like, this is kind of cool. We've kind of come full circle back in New York for a musical, which is kind of cool. So what is the biggest difference between the Amanda that I talked to down the street and the Amanda that I'm talking to right now?
Well, boy, not as idealistic maybe.
Why?
Yeah, I've been around the block in terms of with my personal life and in my career, and I'm more aware of how things work.
Right.
And I think that's what happens with age, sadly. However, I do feel I have like so much more confidence as just an actor. I think it comes with just the experience, and I never really expected any of this. And when I was talking, I'm sure I've told a million people when they asked me what my favorite musical was when I was promoting that, I was always saying it was Les Mis. Mm-hmm. And I know some people have asked, do you think they'll ever make a musical of that? And I'll be like, God, they should.
Yeah, come on.
And I'm part of it. I don't know how that happened. Well, I worked really hard, but
yeah, I mean, you earned this. I mean,
don't brush
it
for this
under.
to come around in my generation, I'm just a lucky lady. And I don't think that they would have been able to make this without Hugh Jackman.
I agree. If I did my research right, you've played this role before when you were 15 in like a school.
In a concert.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
If you could kind of now that you've kind of been in this, if you could go back to the 15-year-old Amanda and give yourself a little direction, maybe like point yourself in the right direction, what do you think you would have said?
I would have said, listen, you are young and you have the world at your feet. Study and never quit. Don't quit when you're 17. Keep going. Keep studying music and know that this is going to lead somewhere, and at least I'd give her a boost of confidence. Mm-hmm. God, because it's like school was everything at that age. All you cared about were your friends liking you and boys being attracted to you, and it was just like that was my true passion back then. But it was like muffled by all that other distraction.
As it does in school, it happens.
Yeah.
I know with you guys singing live, you had the earpiece in your ear, and they had someone playing piano to kind of keep you along, which I thought was really cool to kind of help you get into it, at least for the in the least part. Taking us, not Mamma Mia, aside from Mamma Mia, if you could have been in another movie and had music in your ear to help you kind of get into the moment, which one do you think would have helped?
Every movie. God, I for every love scene I've ever done, it would have been nice to have some music in my ear to get me, or any, actually, every crying scene that I've ever had to do. Do you know how much easier it was to cry when he was dying? A, because it's Hugh Jackman dying in front of you, and it's so believable. And B, because there was music playing, and you're like, and when you listen to music, how it can get you to that level of emotion that you can't get to without it.
Right. I cried my entire way through that scene, so I can't even imagine being in that scene.
It's just having the music on the day. You never, ever get that. And I wish every time I had to cry on camera, I had an earpiece. Such a good idea.
Magic just happened.
You just might have changed my life.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool. And on that note, I'm going to go because it's not going to get better than that.
Wow. Yeah, just don't talk anymore.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm kidding.
That's so nice to see you again. Take
Thanks,
care.
dude.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Okay, sounds good. Have fun today.
Tomorrow you'll be worlds away.
Who was that girl?
Cosette.
And yet with you my world has started.
But he never saw me there.
That's a good looking suit.
You're not too bad yourself,
I
mate.
appreciate it.
Nice,
I appreciate it.
Slick number.
So I gotta ask, your audition
Yeah.
was on an iPhone while you were in a trailer in North Carolina playing a cowboy.
This is
if
true.
I did my research right.
This is true. Good research.
Thank you very much. How did you escape that moment? How do you take that moment in a trailer in North Carolina and make it an audition deserving to be in a film like this?
Well, I suppose what it took was, the thing about filmmaking is its weird rhythms. So we were doing a night shoot in the middle of the field in North Carolina, and I suddenly had 3 hours off, and I was sat twiddling my thumbs or doing Sudoku on my iPhone or something. And I said, go on, Ed, they're making this film. You've always enjoyed singing. Your agent doesn't know that you sing. Why not just put yourself on tape just as a sort of experiment? And they have very high quality video camera.
Yeah, they do. This interview, courtesy of Apple.
Exactly, and so I did it whilst dressed as a... Now it sounds bizarre, but at the time it seemed to make total sense.
Right.
But I sort of emailed it to my agent, and my agent, without me knowing, then flung it on to the producers of Les Mis, and that's how it all kind of started, really.
By any chance, do you still have that on your phone?
I do. Unfortunately, my phone's not in my pocket.
Oh, come on. That was going to be a great bit. That was going to be great. But, obviously, it goes without saying that there are millions and millions of people around the world that are obsessed with this musical.
Yeah.
So going into the movie, do you look at that undying love? Is that an advantage or is that a disadvantage going into something like this?
I think I'm one of them. So I'm one of the...
Okay.
And I think that most of the cast are. All of us had a story about having seen it when we were a kid.
Right.
And you feel like one of those fanatics. And so the tricky thing is that you have the weight of expectation of all the world and the Les Mis fans, whilst also on the other shoulder you have your own weight of expectation.
Right.
So it was wonderful when I got to see it with an audience the other night for the first time, and they were Les Mis fans and they seemed to be moved by it. So
Right.
that was a great moment for me.
I think the great thing one thing I've always loved about this musical is that all of the leads have their moment in the song.
Yeah.
Like there isn't one that's like, well, this guy gets the better songs. Like
Yeah.
everyone has a great song.
Yeah.
What is a song that someone else sings that you love so much that you kind of wish that like you'd have the opportunity to sing one day?
Opportunity to sing. I don't know if I could sing any of the other parts. But
Oh, come on.
No, but I remember doing "Bring Him Home," which is Hugh's extraordinary
Right.
song, and all the cast, a lot of the guys who played students, were from the Les Mis West End production. Now they've seen that song sung again, many times, and they were all playing asleep as was I, whilst Hugh sang that song. And I remember and it's an incredibly operatically challenging song, and Hugh sang it the first time, and everyone came from being asleep into this random applause, and then he then sang it 14, 15 times.
Wow.
And I'll never forget these guys who are trained, hardened musical theatre guys going, we've never seen anything
Wow.
like it. So that was probably the most breathtaking one for me to
Of course.
hear. Yeah.
Of course. Now, I gotta say, I have, it's Oscar season. I have a ton of more movies I have to see throughout
Right.
December. But I gotta say, this movie's kind of ruined it for me because I'm gonna see these other movies and think, God, just start singing. Like, so what other classic cast, what classic movie cast would you like to see stop what they're doing and start singing?
Well, do you know who's got an incredibly husky and quite brilliant voice? I did a film a few years ago with Scarlett Johansson, and I've had moments of karaoke with her.
Really?
And I think Tom Hiddleston's got a decent, got some serious pipes on him as well. So maybe like the Avengers, and I even hear Jeremy Renner may have like a great
Yeah, because he
singing
did
voice.
SNL the other night.
Yeah,
He sang.
so I mean, maybe the Avengers.
Exclusive, right here.
The Avengers.
We'll call Joss Whedon and then
Yeah,
we'll get him on the
sort
phone.
that out, yeah.
All right, Joss Whedon and Tom Hooper together. It's gonna be a magical
Match
combination.
made in heaven.
One day more to revolution, we'll nip it in the bud. We'll be ready for these schoolboys. They'll make themselves with blood.
To the barricades!
So I have to tell you that I follow you on Twitter, and it's okay that you don't follow me back. It's cool. I understand.
Okay, this is an awkward moment.
No,
I'm
it's fine,
sorry.
it's fine. But on January 31st, 2012, at 4:59 p.m., you tweeted something very interesting. You tweeted, "Most incredible moment of my life," 4 exclamation marks and an X. What do you think that could have been, that moment?
I think that was the moment that I got told I was
That's
going to be
what
playing
I was
Anthony.
wondering too. I was
in the Les
hoping
Mis.
that was it.
I was hoping I wasn't wrong. Yeah. It was weird. It was the most incredible moment. I was on stage taking a bow as Nancy and Oliver, and Cameron McIntosh, our producer, came on stage and announced to a live audience that I was going to be playing Eponine. So, yeah, best moment of my life.
So they all found out when you found out.
Yeah, literally, like, it was in front of a live audience. I had no idea.
I would have lost it.
Well, the thing is, my sort of reactions are always like internal rather than screaming. I went, and that video is actually still on YouTube, so sometimes I have to just go and watch it just to go, that actually did happen.
Right,
It wasn't
did
a dream,
happen.
yeah.
It did happen. Now, for a long time, that there were rumors that Taylor Swift was actually going to play this part. So I was curious, did you ever hear that? And if you did hear that, did you just say, okay, like, that's it, I'm giving up? Like, I mean, what was the situation with that?
The thing is, when you go for a role, there's always so many other actresses sort of up against you, and you just kind of have to not think about that, because there's always going to be a negative effect from that. I think the most important thing is to just really focus on yourself, because this is the biggest opportunity I've ever had.
Right.
So for me, I just had to put 100% energy into like doing the absolute best job I could do and do myself proud.
Right. Now, I think aside from I Dreamed a Dream, On My Own is probably one of, if not the most loved song in the musical. And I think it's fascinating that the two most recognized and loved are just the two most heartbreaking songs. So what does it say about us as an audience that the songs that we connect with are the most heartbreaking songs?
It's an odd thing, and I remember being 6 or 7 years old as a little girl singing into my hairbrush, singing on my own, wanting to be Eponine. And it's like, why? She's got such a tragic life. But I feel like we want to be, you know, we want to be along on those emotional journeys. I think that's what Les Mis does. It tells us these stories that makes us kind of live through these emotional moments, and I think that's kind of so exciting as an audience.
Of course, of course. Now, obviously, you have experience with this character. You played her on stage in London.
Yeah.
And I would think that there are obvious advantages to having that connection with the character. But what are some of the disadvantages? What were some of the things where like, oh, maybe it wouldn't have been good if I had played her before?
Well, I think the advantage was I had that history with the character. I knew a lot about this girl. Played it in an arena concert and also, in a theatrical setting. But, you know, some of the challenges were that, you know, I was used to projecting my voice to 2,000 seats back, so I had to kind of unlearn a bit of that so that I wasn't
Bring it in a little bit.
Because even when you stage whisper, you kind of still whisper like that. So I kind of had, like, Eddie Redmayne here, and I had to sort of learn to really control my voice, you know, in a much more intimate way. So, you know, be able to support those sort of softer tones of your voice.
Were there ever moments where you just found yourself screaming into his ear?
Absolutely. There was moments where I instinctively, for instance, in my life, the scene where I lead him to Cosette, and I was like, everyone! And then Tom was like, no, you can do that. And I was like, oh, and it was amazing to have that freedom to interpret this score in a completely new way and not in the way that I was used to.
All right, well, to give me the wrap, I could talk to you all day. You're amazing. I love you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. See you guys later.
Bye.